Hello. So, Joe here, dialing in live for, I guess, um, Diary of a Accompanying Partner in Country episode. I am sitting in our hotel room and I thought I would just do a quick little recording around my ponderings before today. So, today I am getting picked up by a woman who is going to take me around to a number of different accommodation options for us to have a look at. And so I was just sort of sitting here having a bit of a think about the questions and things that I want to ask her and some things that I think are important because it's been a while since I've done this. And so I'm just trying to reflect before I go and have the couple of hours with her today. But I will also pop back in and tell you my ponderings and all of the things that I forgot to ask that I'm sure I will think of while I'm out and about. Some things to have a think about as well that we have thought about because we've done this before is that we're quite keen to find an unfurnished place because our package actually includes the shipping of all of our furniture over from Australia to Thailand. And so we will take advantage of that by finding an unfurnished place that is hopefully big enough to fit our furniture. But what I've also done is I've brought a tape measure. So that is also a hot tip for you. So I need to get that out of my bag and take that with me. But taking a tape measure to actually see if my couch is going to fit in a place. Last time we moved, we actually shipped some artwork over that made the apartment feel a lot more like home because we didn't take furniture last time. And so that might be something to consider as well as just having your little I'm going to take my notes in my phone and then with my tape measure to sort of measure up walls and bits and pieces. So there's an element of me looking at stuff. I'm not making any decisions today, I don't think, because I'm coming back in a month's time with the kids. And something we've been talking about is to try and give them some ownership around where we live. So I'm going to sort out all the ones that I'm a hard no on, and I just won't show them when we come back and do another trip in 4 weeks or so. But yeah, the plan is not to be signing leases or anything today. So yeah, I'm just trying to think of other things that I've been thinking about prior to going that might be helpful, but I will reflect on once we've spent some time in the car, and I'll definitely I'll keep you updated. This can be sort of as it happens. Okay, so I promised that I would report back after my day of apartment hunting, and then I was like so frazzled and overwhelmed after I finished that I didn't, so I'm dialing in and doing it the next day. So I took my tape measure and didn't use it once. So maybe you need to scrap that advice, but I'm actually going back to go and look at another apartment today for a second time, which I will take the tape measure. So, but I just wanted to like sort of make note of a couple of things that I'm so glad that I did. So every apartment I went to, I did a video and I started the video with, this is this apartment. It is on this floor. It is this many square meters. This is the rent. And then I asked the agent while I was there any questions I thought of at the time. So the recording was with the video so I could remember what that apartment looked like. Take a video in every apartment. Like I already walked away and was like, did that have a bathroom there? Was that room? And I've been able to watch the videos back. So that was super helpful. So that is a major hot tip. It was interesting that a lot of the apartment buildings wanted to know the budget straight away. So making sure you say, this is my top budget, and then asking each time, is this rent negotiable? And some of them were like, oh, and so we knew those ones were, and there were like ones that were like, no, that's not negotiable at all. So that was quite good because I was like able to start thinking about those things. And also a hot tip is, I think, tell the agent your hard budget and don't let them show you anything that is above your budget, because if you're anything like me, you then get, of course, something that's outside of your budget is going to be the best one, and that's the only thing that you can think about. So those were my things that I was just thinking about post the day of checking. I'm going to go and look at an apartment again today that I'll be seeing for the second time, and I will report back again. And realistically, it'll probably not be today because I will then get overwhelmed again. But keeping these things happening live.
Okay, as promised, said I would switch from doing Google Street View from a farm in Wagga to actually doing in-person Street View once I got to Bangkok. So I am 100% the biggest advocate for going for massive walks before you start going and looking for somewhere to live in a new place. I arrived in Bangkok on a Friday evening, and then I spent I think I looked at my Apple Watch, and I think I did about 10 kilometres of walking on Saturday and 10 kilometres of walking on Sunday. And it was literally just doing up and down the streets, looking at all the different things, everything that we had tried to do, and all of my Google Street View walking that I had done from the comfort of my own home. Some of it had been helpful, but you obviously 100% cannot get an idea of the vibe or the noise or the sound or the fact in a street that you thought was relatively quiet is actually full of bars and a lot more traffic than you were expecting, or little less traffic. Again, more bars, more bars. So I think that is something that I'm definitely now the biggest advocate for, because that weekend of walking meant that I actually changed my requests with the agent as to the areas that we wanted her to show us apartments in. We wrote off a whole area that we had thought, yeah, these places online look amazing. We just worked around in the neighbourhoods, and they were just totally not the vibe that we were going for. So that's definitely, while I sort of felt that I had the hangs of where I was going, it was definitely worth going and doing that walking around. Another concept to sort of think about, if you're not a map or directions person, which I am, I love Google Maps. I love maps. I've loved maps since I was like a kid. So I can actually work out my direction, and my sense of direction is good. Like, I know at the moment I am walking due north because I've looked at this map so many times that I know that this street is north. And then if I turn right here, I'm going east. And then if I turn turn left, I'm going west. But I think that's a really interesting thing for you to try and get your head around while you're doing this sort of inspection piece, because you knowing where the sun's going to be coming in, if the apartment you're looking at in the morning already feels a bit warm and it's all western facing, know that you are going to cook in the afternoons, and that's fine if you're after a warm apartment, but if not, you know what I mean? So I think really taking it seriously, like the directions and things that you're looking in an apartment, it's also super helpful. But I'm actually currently walking back to do a second viewing of one of the places that I saw yesterday and that I really liked. My husband's obviously at work, so I took him for a walk last night up here and was able to see that the place had a really nice vibe at night time as well, which is also a really good life hack, because it can be all well and good if it's beautiful during the day, and then it turns into like a nightclub during the night. Anyway, I'll report back. Okay, I feel like these videos are very chaotic, but you'll get the gist, because that's pretty much a perfect indication of how my brain is feeling at the moment. So I've just been back in and done a second viewing of the apartment that I liked the most yesterday. And then I did use my tape measure this time. So I actually am not reneging on my recommendation of taking a tape measure. So some things that I thought about that are other things to think about while you're viewing a place is actually asking everything that is included. And I think, like, while agents will advertise things online, they tell you things, hearing the manager or the owner actually tell you explicitly what is included or what's not included, or anything that could be blurred lines down the track, getting that is really good. And I was a little bit cheeky that I asked all of those questions while I was recording my video throughout the room. I obviously asked her if it was okay that I recorded while I was asking my questions, which she said was fine. But it is, again, just such a helpful way to keep everything in the one spot so that you don't have to remember all of these things. So as far as the things as I'm referring to as far as inclusions, so for example, that apartment has a gas hob, like stovetop, and she showed me that there is a gas cylinder that lives in the kitchen underneath the bench top. And I asked her, like, how do you get more gas when it runs out? And she said, you can organise or pay us to organise. And so clarifying those things, clarifying that when the current tenant moves out, what's going to actually happen in there. Will they give it a new coat of paint, or will they just touch up any things that need to happen? Something I've been quite surprised with, which could be quite Thailand specific. I don't think this was a thing in Singapore when we moved there, but a lot of the landlords are quite interested in keeping you for a long time. So they almost offer up if there's things that you would like changed or added. So she said, we can put ceiling fans in here if you want them. Or the previous tenant wanted these glass cabinet cover things. Making sure that you clarify if the white goods are included. So is this fridge part of the apartment? Is this dishwasher? Is the washing machine? Those sorts of things. So again, some of these might seem very obvious to people, but if you haven't done this before, or if you're a bit out of practice doing things like I am, I think it's really good. There's no silly questions. You'll totally regret it later if you're constantly having to harass a manager with all of these questions that you think of afterwards. I still think definitely ask them if you do have questions afterwards. But I think if you can ask as many of those questions while you're in the actual the place, and then you can clarify any other questions that come off the back of that, I think is super helpful as well.
I thought I would record a very glamorous early morning video from Bangkok airport on the way back to Australia to sort of do a bit of a wrap up of my whirlwind trip here over the last few days. I have managed to, from Friday night arrival and early Wednesday morning departure, managed to, I think, find a school that we're happy with, pretty much lock an apartment in, which is super crazy. And I got to go and do a tour of a potential social/co-working space club to join. I also randomly got to catch up with two friends that were in my book club in Singapore that happened to be in Bangkok for a couple of days, and they go quite regularly, and so they took me to this whole other neighbourhood that I wouldn't have got to visit, and it was just amazing. And we had amazing dinner and went for a great walk around, and it's just got me so excited about the move. So I'm absolutely exhausted, but all in all, it was a good one. So I think if I can give any advice without repeating myself too much, I think doing as much research on physical neighbourhoods and bits and pieces before you get here to wherever you're touring around. Hit your pavement, put your runners on, get walking for at least the day before you go and look at places to live or schools to get the vibe of a place. And then, yeah, my advice on going and seeing places to live, I think that still stands. So taking a tape measure, but also recording a video of every place as you walk through it and starting the video with where are we? What's the square footage or meterage of the place? What's the rent? Is it negotiable? Is there anything that we need to consider with this place? And then just speak your mind as you're walking around the place so that you don't have to sort of remember those things. So I think they're probably my hot tips. So hopefully these little snippets of behind the scenes have been helpful if you're in this. But I think if I can, I guess, make you feel at ease even slightly seeing it in action, then that's a win well and truly.